What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's a conversation you could be having during the day, but having at night. Yes, with me again on another wonderful Tuesday is the homeboy Rob.
Yo. On death's door, but
on death's door, that's right. Yes, Rob had a particularly hard day at work, and so we're pretty lucky to have him.
Well, not so much not necessarily a tough day, but I'm coming off like I've worked 7 days in a row, and I'm just exhausted.
Yeah, definitely. So, when was your last kind of day off?
I think my last day off was like Monday or Tuesday of last week.
Okay. Oh, since then you've worked nonstop, like
pretty
in terms
much.
of days.
Yeah.
So this week, the start of this, you didn't get a day off this past Monday or yesterday.
No. Nope.
All right. Well, yes. Let's get this conversation started. Those of you who are subscribed and have been getting notifications, I hope you receive the notice of our little our little R&D kind of show. I decided to call it Test Phase. I think under that banner, it'll be more like us testing, testing certain ideas or equipment. I mean, if you saw, we were testing out the new audio equipment that we just got to help with the main podcast, and so I hope it was satisfactory.
Yeah, it was fun testing it out. We're super excited for all the new equipment we got, which for you guys means more of the jerks all together. Back, the band will be back together again.
Right.
I'm glad we finally got it. Now we can do our year anniversary. Well, now it's a year and a half anniversary show.
Yes, I know we were pushing it back. There were a few financial considerations, and we had to move a lot of things from different accounts, from the Caymans and things like that. So
that's how we roll. Our money is what is it? It's like it's liquid. It's not like a solid thing, so we had to always move stuff around.
Yeah. Our money wasn't liquid, so we had to wait a little bit. We have to wait for the market to stabilize a bit, and before we made the purchase. But now we have it, and I'm pretty pleased with the quality of the audio. I think there are still a few tweaks to be made, but just the initial test run, I was very pleased.
Yeah, so considering the money that we spent, I think we got a really great quality equipment, good quality equipment for the price that we spent.
Yeah, I mean, always invest in yourself. Always take a chance on yourself because one, yourself, and sometimes you're put in the situation where failure isn't an option. So always take a chance on yourself, and don't always be preoccupied with the quote unquote right moment, because there'll never be a right moment for anything. It just you just have to make it. It'll just the opportunity present itself, and you either act or you don't.
Yeah, and we I think once we realize that this is something that we are enjoying, it's we should invest more into because I know we put in a very minimal investment to begin with.
Yeah, this is for the equipment. I mean, initially there was barely any investment because luckily I had most of the equipment that we needed, but then we also put in a really small seat. We did like a small like seat fund, and we got just like a basic like shotgun mic, and luckily I had a lot of the equipment already, and so we were able to do like a pretty bare bones podcast, which was
Yeah.
which was fine. Which we were making do, and we were making do, and we were having fun. But I think we got to the point where like let's really try and do this thing, and so
Yeah.
we decided to put in a little bit more investment into this, and I'm fairly confident that this small investment now will definitely yield benefits later. I mean, it's not going to be it's not going to be one of those overnight success stories. I mean, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I foresee returns on our investment.
That's true. Yeah, I agree. And like I think we got enough of a following, and we were getting enough of a viewership that I think it was definitely, to me, it was worth it for us to spend the money that we did to get better. Even if like the video quality isn't the best, audio quality counts for so much when it comes to these type of things.
Right, because I mean, if you hear like every little floor creak and muscle car that runs, that drives by, or an ambulance, then
Right.
it gets to be a little bit distracting. But even when I went back to look at the footage, I mean, I did hear we had the TV on in the back, in the background, and I was able to slightly hear it.
We were pushing the stuff to its limits.
Yeah, I was like, I did, I was able to, pick it up just a little bit, but not to the point where I think it was distracting. But I think, but there are ways to, get around that. So, so I'm very pleased at the equipment that we got, and I'm really excited to, start, doing the main podcast again, and, getting more guests on, and more interviews, and more kind of, jerkiness.
Yeah. We got some new unofficial official sponsors. It's
right?
Going to be
yes.
great.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that, as always. Well, I guess before we get into well, I mean, I should say, let's just get into some of the topics that we wanted to talk about today. And I guess I will start by announcing that I have not gone on my speed dating event. The company.
I'm out of here.
The company, believe it or not, the company again canceled and rescheduled the event for this coming Friday. But the friend and I that were going to do this together, we decided that the first time that they did this, they're like, okay, if they email us and say that they are going to cancel and reschedule the event a second time, then we would just say forget it, and get ask for a refund and be done with it. And so we did get the note. We did get the notice that the event was being canceled and rescheduled for the following week. And so I sent in my email saying, hey, I no longer wish to participate in the event. Please refund me my money as soon as possible. And then I get a follow-up email saying that, oh, well, a follow-up email from the company saying, oh, well, it takes a couple of weeks for us to sign up enough women, but definitely come out to this one because we definitely have enough women now. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah, if you have it's like two weeks in a row that you messed up, and you're expecting me to believe that you have everything set in order.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't. Yeah, and I signed up. I didn't. It wasn't as though I signed up last minute. I signed up with, for them to have ample amount of time to sign up enough women.
Yeah.
And it's and I knew that was the reason because I knew that was the reason why they canceled the first time. But it just got confirmed after I sent in my letter saying I didn't want to participate anymore, and they're like, oh no, don't worry, we have enough women now. So.
Yeah. Oh
so
no.
but then I'm kind of like tempted to write them back saying, all right, fine, if I'll show up, but if you cancel on me again, I want double my money back. Because that's twice. Because it's 2 times that you inconvenience my schedule. Because it wasn't because it wasn't as though that they let me know a day in advance. They let me both times. They let me know like 5 hours before the event.
That's too close.
It's and again, I had plans. I was gonna go to this thing and then meet my friends and afterwards and make kind of make a night of it. I mean, I still went out both weeks. But
party animal.
Yeah, but it's an inconvenience. It's you can't cancel and reschedule an event that close to the time that you're supposed to go. I mean, what would it be if I decided to go kind of close by to the venue a couple hours 5 hours early to beat traffic and to get a parking spot, and I decide to just go walk around, and then I get there and then I get the email saying that it's got canceled and it's been rescheduled. That's completely unacceptable.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So in a way, I've been with this company, I've been stood up twice.
Or Andy keeps referring to this company, quote unquote, and it's which AKA is him. He's just canceling on himself.
Yeah. I would make up something like this. It's just it's too absurd.
But yeah, no, that's seems like a very, very poor planning on the part of this this group. Mm-hmm. But then there's one of two things of what probably happened. Either it's a very poor planned event, and they just don't have the right person planning the event, or B, it's a very because of the time that we're in, where people have now that we have smartphones and text messages and all that stuff, a lot of times people are just oh well, yeah, I committed to this one thing, but I'll see if something better comes along, and then when it does, well, I guess I won't go to this event anymore. So and they all cancel the last second, which is why you're getting a 5-hour notice.
Right.
Or it could be both. I mean, both of those could be true.
Well, I mean, I also think the market for speed dating, it's kind of fallen off because 5 years ago, it might have been more. There might have been a bigger market for it, but then with the onset of the dating apps. It completely changed the market. Now you can go kind of do speed. Now you can kind of do speed dating from the comfort of your own home. And potentially screen 30 women in a night, as opposed to going to a physical location and talking to maybe 10 women
face to face.
Yeah, face to face. But I mean, I'm old school, so I would rather have some face to face interaction. Because then they're not, then they can't hide behind their freaking French flag filter, or their dog face filter, or their rainbow filter, or whatever. And
Right.
I could see them, and I could make a proper kind of assessment, as opposed to just words that they spent probably a good couple of days on, and selecting the best pictures of themselves.
So you say you're a vegan, huh? Oh, well,
it's next.
Yeah. Well, this is we have nothing in common apparently.
Yeah, I know. Maybe one of the things I should ask them is for them to tell me a really racist joke.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, this smoothie is really good.
What is it?
Well, because I'm still at my parents' house. They just got back. They got back last night.
Right.
Then my dad usually makes smoothies in the morning. So I think it's a mixed berry and yogurt and some other concoction that he created, and it is delicious.
Nice. So funny because I had dinner with my parents last night, and my dad asked me to help him because he wanted to make steak, because he got this new grill pan.
No, please tell me you got proper steak this time.
Oh, he did. I did select ribeyes.
With with the good marbling and stuff.
Yes, with the good marbling. Who are you talking to? Who are you talking to?
Well, you know how your dad is.
Yeah, that's my dad. That's not me. For those of you who don't get this, there's there's a story about my dad. For my birthday, I wanted to have steak, but he didn't want to get ribeye because there was fat in it, and it's oh, you're getting ripped off because there's too much fat and you're not getting enough meat, and so he himself got what was it, tri-tip cut steaks.
Oh man.
For himself, and then he ended up liking my steak because it's oh man, it's so soft and juicy. It's his was and another thing, he liked his steak well done. He likes his steak well done. He's he's of that generation where that he can't eat medium rare to medium steak.
That shit in the trash.
Yeah, and then, but I was debating on whether or not to tell you this because I know it's gonna make you pissed off, Robert. But he was how he was gonna prepare those ribeyes?
How?
By he was gonna poke holes into it and then stick garlic cloves into them.
Oh no, you can't. Oh my god. I'm done.
And this is when Robert rage quit the podcast.
I'm done with this stream. My god, I need to go.
I stopped him. I stopped him though. I stopped him.
Thank God that
I stopped him. I was like, what? I was like, he was about to take one of those little small paring knives to the meat, and I was like, what the hell are you doing?
Your dad should never be allowed around another steak ever. It's like giving a chimp a machine gun. I mean, what? It's just destruction is gonna happen.
I mean, I don't disagree with you.
You don't cut out pieces of the steak and shove whole garlic.
Again, this is when Robert rage quits the live stream.
Oh my! Oh God! Jesus, I'm so mad. No, I can't even look at the camera. It's so goddamn fear. I can't believe this.
No, Robert, I stopped it. Okay, I stopped it.
I know, but just the
idea. I know, just the idea. I know. I was like freaking out too, like, cause my dad was about to take a paring knife and, like, to the steak. I was like, what are you doing? At first, I thought he was trying to cut out the fat, but then
I'd almost rather him make it well done. I mean, that's God. It just. Okay, I'll ask this because I'm pretty sure your dad does he cook other things well, or is it just steak that he just can't get right?
Yeah. My dad he cooks other things really well.
Okay,
like he makes
he shouldn't be allowed in the kitchen by under any means necessary.
Yeah, no, he cooks it's just like because he's not a because he's first generation Korean, and so he doesn't have much experience with steaks. And so,
okay, but him around, making Korean food, he's got it down.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, he even fancies up the ramen, the shin ramen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he with the little broth soup packet, he'll put in some onions, a little baggy thing of anchovies to make the bring out that umami.
Yep.
Yeah, so my dad knows how to cook. It's just he doesn't know how to cook steak.
I see. Okay, so that redeems him a little bit, because it's like where people keep allowing him to go into the kitchen, yet they it's just.
Yeah, no, my dad knows how to cook. It's just he doesn't know how to cook steak. Yeah, and
that makes a little bit more sense where he's not as adept with American ingredients as opposed to
researched and studied how to he learned how to make sushi, the rice, and how to do he got himself a freaking sushi knife. That's how into it he is.
I should be led around, because there's an art to that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's kind of like with that and any sort of baking.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want me handling any sort of baking. It's just, that to me is science. Just like how I think sushi. It's both an art and a science, because there's a certain.
Right, because you're kind of working with fermented things, because with the rice, you're actually kind of spoiling it, or kind of pickling it when you put in the rice vinegar and the sugar, because you're kind of in a way doing a really quick fermentation.
Right. Yeah.
Of the rice, and then also serving the fish at the right temperature and all that stuff. So so you're right. As much of as it is an art, it's also a science.
Yeah, and I think it's more science. I mean, the art obviously is on how it's prepared or shown to those who are eating it.
Right.
But the preparation is all science.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I'm keep me away from all that stuff, because it's just it's too technical. But get me around a steak or a burger or other things, and I can do pretty well.
Right.
I don't necessarily have the time anymore, but I can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm so infrequently employed, I have nothing but time.
Yeah.
So when I made donuts, that was pretty cool. Working with the yeast and all that, and figuring out the right temperature for the oil to be for a good fry without getting too brown and on the crispy side. So.
Right. But okay, good. So your dad can cook. Yeah. All right, that's good.
Yeah, I see. Right, but I was it was getting a little frustrating, because I was trying to explain to him, I was trying to translate reverse sear. Because I thought I'll just reverse sear these suckers.
Right.
But I guess he didn't like understand, and so he went and took the steaks out and grilled them on like his new grill pan. And then he's like, all right, now you can stick these in. Like after he grilled them for like a couple of minutes, and he's like, okay, now you can put them in the oven like you said. I was like, that's not what I said.
That's the opposite reverse searing.
Yeah, I know. I was like, that's not. It's like, Dad, that's not what I said. I said first you stick them in the oven for like an hour, and on low heat, and then you finish them up on the grill. But apparently he got the process like mixed up.
That's what makes to me. That's what makes some of those like world class chefs where they can work with ingredients all around the world and make them work. Either together or they can perfect all sorts of different types of cuisine and it all tastes good. That's really tough to do because Korean food is way different from American food, as which is different from French food, and and so on and so forth. There's so many different ingredients, and they all use meat, but the way that they use it is differently, and like the types of meat that they're getting is very different. So it's tough. That's why I always found like Iron Chef very fascinating.
Yeah, the Japanese one was really I think the best because it was Japanese ingredients because it's all Japanese food and like crazy sounding ingredients to Western people, but the Japanese people is like, oh yeah, that's like they say like use octopus, and it's like that's like saying, oh, use veal.
Right. Well, I remember like they made like squid ink ice cream, and like they used every inch of that like squid.
Right. Yeah.
The one that I found, what I found interesting is when they had one of the main ingredient was bell peppers, and for Americans, we use bell peppers all the time. Because we have a lot of influence from South America and.
Yeah.
Places that use like those, those type of ingredients.
Yeah, like Cajun or Creole stuff.
Yeah, but in Japanese culture, like there's a strong majority of people who hate the taste of bell peppers, especially the green ones.
The green ones, especially.
So, yeah, especially they find them like they just don't like the flavor. Like it's kind of like a. Like the kids that don't want to eat their vegetables, like they don't. That's kind of.
Or there's some people who have like that genetic thing where they they can't stand the taste of cilantro.
See, for me, I love cilantro.
Yeah, me too. But there's some people who are genetically predisposed to not enjoy the flavor of cilantro.
Yeah, but
sad for them.
Yeah, but to find that like to have the bell pepper as the main ingredient, that's that's kind of tough because it's not necessarily like the green ones that don't necessarily have like a I guess a flavor of their own. They kind of absorb other flavors, and I know like in Hungarian food they'll have stuffed bell peppers. They'll stuff goulash and rice and other peppers into a green bell pepper. But like the yellow, red, and orange ones, they tend to have more of a kind of a sweetness to them.
Right. Yeah. So I guess in that way, it'd be kind of like any non-Southerner trying to prepare okra. Because okra's a very like Southern food, and you'd have to like. It's one of those things where you really have to kind of work with it a lot, or you have to have like grown up with it to understand like how to prepare it. And I heard like okra is kind of slimy.
Yeah, it is.
And so that's one of the things I haven't had the opportunity to try is okra.
Oh yeah, fried okra is that's good stuff. Fried okra is awesome.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I hear like good. Yeah. Well, some people hate it, some people love it. I mean, it's that polarized. But you know, I think I generally have heard good things about fried okra, or like okra in general, just as long as it's prepared correctly.
Yeah, it's like I said, if it's prepared correctly, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
If it's prepared incorrectly, it's garbage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I heard it's kind of like cactus in that way, because cactus is also kind of slimy.
Can't say I've never had cactus before.
Well, I just know like people have made that, or at least people I know that have worked in like the food industry. They've like they made that comparison. So yeah, it's kind of like okra's kind of like cactus, because they're both because when you cut into them, they're kind of slimy. So. Yeah, all this talk about food. Yeah, I knew you were gonna get pissed off when I told you that story about my dad.
God,
I was like debating on, should I tell this story to Robert? It'll probably make him rage quit.
Not as bad as the initially when he was like, oh yeah, I want this steak better because look at all this meat. Like, there's no fat in it. There's gonna be more. It's better. I'm getting more for my money. It's like, oh, that's such spurious thinking.
Right. Yeah, why trying to sound all smart using SAT words?
It's a word.
Yeah, I know it's a word, but but why are you trying to sound smart? It's spurious. Yeah, I know, because it's like. Because I mean, again, it goes to like it's like that it's that kind of introduction thing. Because in Korea there isn't very like high fat like meats. I mean, other than pork, but like especially beef, there's not like a lot of meat. Like, well, beef, they're not the Koreans don't usually have it with like a lot of fat.
Right.
And so like when my dad sees like a meat with like that's like 25% fat, he's like, oh man, you're getting ripped off.
Yeah, and that's where that makes sense, because Korean barbecue is completely different from what Americans consider barbecue food.
Right.
And that's
it's barbecue in the sense that it uses, it can, but it, not always uses coal. And it's more of grilling as opposed to like traditional, low and slow barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but what is it? Yeah, like the grilling process, they use like a lot of lean meats. Very rarely is there like meat with like a lot of fat in it, and like some of the meats that don't tend to have a lot of fat, they're usually in like accompanied with some sort of marinade. Like everyone's favorite like go-to Korean meat, which is bulgogi.
Oh, it's good stuff.
Yeah. And so yeah, because that's first put in a marinade and allowed to sit overnight or whatever. But that meat has like very little to no fat on it.
Right, and that's where like Korean barbecue techniques would not translate over to what we would do for barbecue.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas because Korean barbecue is great. I love it. I eat it as often as I possibly can.
Right.
And yeah, but it's those techniques don't transfer over to American barbecue. It's completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Different cooking styles, different types of meat. But yeah, that makes sense like why your dad would like kind of have translate, oh yeah, barbecue, it's like this is what I know. Like, so yeah, you don't want to get ripped off with the with all this fat, whereas like no, that you want this in like this type of beef,
right? Yeah, and the fat cap on a ribeye is the best part of the steak. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
Seriously, it so is.
Right, the fat cap on a ribeye steak is always the best part of the ribeye steak.
As much, the funny thing is, as much as I love the ribeye, I don't know why, but I tend to like the sirloin cut the best.
Really?
It's a little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I think so that plays a part in it, but man, it does have a great, if when cooked correctly, it's got a really good flavor profile.
Yeah,
you can get this nice, because with the top sirloin, you can get this nice like crisp on the outside,
yeah,
like
the
this
crust.
light char on the outside, and just get that juicy tenderness on the inside. So it's kind of, that's why I think I like the sirloin so well. Ribeye is like probably my second favorite cut. It's right there.
Right. What was it? I was just about to say something. Something to do with my dad. Oh, god dang. Something to do about steak.
How else did he mess up a steak?
God, I was gonna say something. I think it was gonna be something to defend my dad, but probably not. Okay, you were talking about sirloin, those being your favorites. Ribeye. Oh god, it was like right there. Dang it. I lost it. Oh well. If it comes back to me, it comes back to me.
Alright, sounds good.
Alright. Well, okay, let's get on to the review part of the show, which this week we watched Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange.
Such a strange movie.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you that don't know, it takes place in like this kind of dystopian future. And the main character is like this kind of, what is it, like sociopath youth and his his friends, and they just go around like beating up and like raping people, and and then I guess like he kind of has like a falling out. He kind of has a falling out with his friends, and they set him up to break into this house, but they incapacitate him. They smash him by smashing him in the face with a milk bottle, and then the police come and pick him up. And but because he's like a juvenile, they send him to like this kind of like reform school, and then he then volunteers for like this new program where they try to remove all of like the violent tendencies out of a person. And I mean, initially it works. They do achieve the result that they're looking for. But in the end, it doesn't seem to take hold, and he breaks free from the conditioning, and he then makes a deal with the government, saying, I'll be your poster child, but you guys have to take care of me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's there's easily the strangest movie I've ever seen. I came into I've never seen this particular Kubrick film before.
I think well, if I may jump in here real fast, I think what made it like really jarring for me is I guess I'm too used to modern filming techniques with like the multiple views, but this movie is shot mostly from one perspective, and it's a very like home movie kind of feel. Maybe it was even intentional, like how some criminals document their crimes, and
Yeah.
so you as the audience member are almost put with, like, at least in the beginning when, like, the main character Alex and his gang is going around, and you're kind of put in the role of, like, the fifth gang member as the person, like, documenting, like, their crimes.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. And I know Kubrick, he filmed it with kind of like a special technique and like a certain type of film to give it that kind of sheen that it had to it, where can you how everything kind of like sparkled and glowed a
Right,
little
yeah,
bit?
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
He
also
used
part of the development process of the film as well, not just the specific stock of film. But yeah.
Right. So but that was kind of like what he was going for. And the movie itself was based off a book, I believe, of the same title, and God, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the author of this book. And something that with that book that didn't get for whatever reason when that book came over to the U.S. and same thing with the with Kubrick's film, is that apparently there was a good resolution to the book where I think the main character's name is Alex, and he does kind of, there is like a good resolution to the film or to the story, but for whatever reason in the American version of the book they never got that final chapter. And the same thing in Kubrick's film, we didn't get that final chapter, so in a lot of ways, it felt very unsatisfying with an ending, because it kind of just feels like, oh man, he just kind of like went right back to where he was at the start of the film. There was no, at first it kind of felt like, he had done all these horrible things, and he went to prison, and while he was trying to trick his way out by getting this conditioning. And then having that conditioning work and not having him being able to fight back, and then getting, pretty much attacked by all the people that he had done wrong, and not being able to protect himself, and in a way is like, now you are like the people that you terrorize. Now you're terrorizing. You can't fight back. Just
right.
Like
So it's a definite role reversal.
Right, and so I was like, that it's kind of like a just comeuppance, but then to have him, pretty much like after he throws himself out the window to like, I can't take that feeling anymore. He
I think that was I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, and they messed with his mind, and got him to back to what he was, and then kind of supported him. That's it felt very unsatisfactory. And the author of the books, as much as he liked the way that Kubrick portrayed the characters, utilized the music and the score that's in the film, the people that portrayed certain characters, he's like, yes, all that is good, but the ending is not what I had in my book. And it's what I wanted. I wish I had been able to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right, though. The fact that he reverts back to his old self, yeah, it seems like a little too convenient and a little bit lazy.
Right. Because it felt like something was missing out of the film.
Right. Yeah, because you're definitely right about like the sense of not having a good resolution to everything.
Right.
Because he just he jumps out the window to because he's exposed to another stimuli that causes him to like feel like not nausea and unpleasant feelings, and so he jumps out the window to escape it, and then only to be completely cured of his conditioning that he received. And him striking up that deal with the government, saying, "Oh yeah, we screwed you over, but yeah, just play ball with us, and yeah, kid, we'll take care of you for the rest of your life."
Yeah, kind of worked out for him, I guess. But the
But I find it hilarious though that one of the unintended triggers or stimuli or conditioning was to Beethoven, which was before his favorite composer, musician. But during one of the sessions, I think it's very iconic now. Uh, the shot of Alex, with like the electrodes attached to his head and like the little things that keep his eyes open, so he's not able to close his eyes at the things that he's seeing. But one of the unintended stimuli or triggers was a really crappy version or a really like lo-fi synth version of Beethoven's like Ninth Symphony, I believe it was. And so he was then conditioned to hate the thing that he loved the most.
Yeah, like I said, it was something like where it was all the things that he used to do and enjoy, all of that was turned against him. And it was kind of like a just comeuppance.
Right.
Yeah,
because it was like they showed like really really violent attacks, and then also like they showed like a rape, and then they showed like they show concentration camps, and
all of it to the Ninth Symphony.
Yeah, and it was pretty interesting when they unveiled it. They unveiled the new Alex to the world. It was interesting that it was it was like the priest that said, that kind of like, oh, have we really cured this person, or have we just made him, feel bad, whenever you see these, whenever he sees like these things or like these images, have we really changed his nature, or have we just conditioned him to respond in the way that that we want him to? And I thought that was a really profound statement.
Yeah, that was something else I was gonna bring up too, where you get this very deep philosophical question of, did we concerning free will,
Mm-hmm.
whereas like, okay, are we just conditioning someone to respond the way that we want, or are we like, actually, are we helping this person to, freely choose to do good?
Right. Yeah. Which is like the whole point. Like every single time he was presented with a chance to, act out in anger, to perform some sort of violent act, he was a sudden onset of like nausea or extreme like discomfort, came over him to the point where like he doubled over because of, the nausea or pain,
Right.
that he is now come to associate with those acts or feelings.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's kind of, I mean, it's kind of chilling to note some of the parallels within today's culture, where especially the left, they constantly use weaponized empathy. So like, oh,
Yeah.
you have to feel bad for this, you have to feel bad for that, and so now it's like, I think it's gotten to the point where people have become numb. But there was a time when you constantly be told, say, oh, you have to feel bad for these people, and you have to feel bad for this situation. It's like, and I think with like the whole filters for for Facebook, I think that was a way to signal that you are feeling the right feelings at the time. So like the
Yeah.
Paris attacks, you put up the French flag filter, or
Look how virtuous I am.
yeah, exactly. And so it's really interesting that I couldn't help but note the similarities uh, from the movie and then in our culture today, and also just interestingly enough, how they got him to hate the thing that he loved the most with Beethoven. It's kind of it's I see a little bit of a parallel in that with Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Before the elections, like Donald Trump was considered like one of them. He's one of ours. And he was on TV and this and and even like rappers reference him constantly in their songs, like saying, "Oh, I'm gonna be rich like Donald Trump." But then
Yeah.
and then he decides to run for president, and then all of a sudden, um, you know, they paint Trump to be this monster, and he's like, "Oh no, you're not supposed to like him anymore," and all that stuff. And so I couldn't help but see like a little bit of a rhythm in what they did to Alex's character into getting him to hate the sound or hate Beethoven, and what the media has done to Trump, making him out to be this monster, no longer to be respected or admired, or you know or to aspire to.
Right. Yeah, it's a movie that definitely still has a lot of relevance today. At least the movie itself is quite weird. It's a little bit there's a lot of more graphic nudity than I expected, and it's not just showing like boobs and stuff. I mean, there's a lot going on, and that was a little bit shocking. I had no idea, to be honest, it was going to be that graphic. So if you don't like that stuff, then you might not like this film.
Mm-hmm. Or at least try to find like a PG-13 version of it.
Yeah, but I also think that but
at that point, it's just like, why bother?
Well, and I'm always like one of those people too, where I don't like graphic like nudity for the sake of just for the heck of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in this movie, it's not just there for hey, let's just throw in some sex and all that stuff. Let's just throw that in there for shits and giggles.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it felt like this actually did play a huge part in the story, because it was a huge part of what the main character was. He was a horrible person who he raped and pillaged and terrorized people, from his own parents to anyone that he came in contact with. And so it wasn't just some arbitrary, it wasn't just thrown in there arbitrarily. And we see that in 2, whereas as much as he was involved in that stuff at the beginning of the film, they turned him against it, all those things that he thoroughly enjoyed doing. And they flipped the script on him as a character, which that to me like makes it seem like it's okay. This wasn't just in there for the sake of it being in there. It actually did play a huge part in the story of Alec.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you on that.
But at the same time, though, it is kind of, for someone who's not expecting it, it is rather shocking. I'll just
True.
say that.
I mean, yeah. I think both of us knew to expect it. But for those of you, who are unfamiliar, with Kubrick, or just like this movie in general, yes, there are some disturbing image. There's some disturbing depictions of some violent things.
Yeah.
So just be aware. But I think, I think one of the other things that made it a little bit confusing for me was all of like the British slang that the main character, the narrator would use, and which kind of made it sound nonsensical. But
I have something to say about that because I was saying it's like, man, what I felt like I was maybe missing something based off of what the hell are they talking about?
mm-hmm.
So apparently, from my understanding is, and I could be wrong, but so this was language that was used in the book. It was in. And apparently, I'm drawing a blank on who the author of the book was.
It's hold on, I got it right here. God, where the hell's the pointer? What was it? Yeah, Anthony Burgess.
Anthony Burgess. So apparently, he's a linguist,
mm-hmm.
and he utilized. So it was English, but it was like an English Russian mixture.
Right. Yeah.
And
I'm just
so
reading.
That's why, yeah, and so a lot of those phrases that were being used were kind of it was this own slang language that he had created for the sake of the story.
Right. Yeah. Just looking at the Wikipedia page here. The book was partially written in a Russian-influenced argot called Natsat, which takes its name from Russian suffix, which is equivalent to teen in English. So basically, yeah, he was making up, his own slang using Russian.
Yeah, and that's kind of like why the language is in this film is so weird.
Yeah.
One thing I've noticed,
I don't know. I think I might have leave that part out. I mean, if I was directing, I might, as an artistic choice, I might have left that out, but just for the sake of clarity of maybe like the message.
And I also wonder too, because we have to think of when this movie came out. This came out what, like 1970, 71?
Yeah, early 70s.
Yeah, early 70s. So that's the height, towards the middle to the towards the end of the height of the Cold War.
Right.
And maybe Stanley Kubrick decided to leave that in for he was trying to be as close to the book as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And he also made with wanting to kind of have that that Russian influence on there. Not that he was a communist, but at least I don't think he is. But having that type of crazy like influence, like being able to show that.
Maybe.
I think it was more to I believe it was more he wanted to play it close to the book.
Uh-huh.
And it was probably Burgess's. He was just kind of creating that language with kind of things that you wouldn't expect to have mixed. Like England and Russia are as far apart at that time, or as far apart as you could think of. So maybe it was just something kind of a crazy idea that he thought up of.
Mm-hmm.
And him being a linguist was able to kind of combine those two languages together.
Perhaps.
But that's
actually
the
book was written. The book was written 10 years before the movie came out, or published.
Yeah.
10 years before.
Yeah, so that's
so when he wrote it, that was like prime like Cold War time.
Yep.
And then when the movie came out, it was more towards it was falling off the peak of, I think, the intensity of like the Red Scare and the idea of Russia nuking us.
Right.
So yeah. So I think maybe it was a little bit more safer for Kubrick to do that.
Well, and it's kind of funny how the first two movies that we've looked at in our Kubrick month have Russian influence in them.
Oh yeah. Doctor Strangelove, and now this one.
Very unintentional on our part, but also kind of interesting.
Yeah. Very interesting. Okay, so all right, so I think we've said all we have to say about this movie, unless you had something else to add.
No, I think I don't have anything else to add on that, but I will say I liked it a lot better than Doctor Strangelove.
Okay. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 5, what would you give it?
I would say I'd give it about 3.5.
3.5. Okay.
Yeah, it's I give it a 3.5. I like the philosophical argument that comes from this film.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of free will is definitely in there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I like how it's shot. It's kind of very unique, and you get a great acting performance out of Malcolm McDowell, a very young Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, it kind of tripped me out because I've only known Malcolm McDowell as the old guy, but seeing him so young, it was really a trip. I was like, oh my god.
John Clive was also in this film.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was the prison guard captain, I believe.
Oh yeah, who kind of looked like Hitler.
Yeah, I think that was intentional. He was in there.
Oh, yeah. He was like,
it's you got good acting performances in there, but it is a little bit weird. It's a little confusing. It's a little bit a lot graphic actually.
Mm-hmm.
So those might be things that you might not like, but overall I think it's an interesting film. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And for me, I give it a 3. A very solid 3.
Yeah.
For some of the same reasons that you gave as well.
Yeah, it's funny because I knew going into this that it was going to be a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I kind of have a little bit of an uptick on my score from last week. Mm-hmm. Whereas I was thinking that Doctor Strangelove was going to be a lot more serious than it was, and it was kind of a shock that it wasn't.
Right. It was a little bit more goofier than what you were expecting.
Right, because a lot of Kubrick's films, I expect them to be a little strange, but they usually have more of a serious tone, mm-hmm. with little bits of humor kind of in there.
Yeah, sprinkled in.
For the most part, serious tone. Mm-hmm. And Doctor Strangelove was just goofy to me, so that's why I didn't like it as much. But this one, 3.5 for sure.
Okay. That yeah, definitely. What's the movie for next week?
Oh shoot. I had it. Let's I think we're gonna be doing Barry Lyndon next week.
Barry Lyndon?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a movie I've been wanting to watch for a while. Mm-hmm. Mainly just because I thought the idea behind how they filmed it is kind of interesting, and I'm just hoping that the story kind of matches up. So it's another movie that I'm kind of going into blind.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, you. God, what's wrong with my mouth today? You heard it here today. You heard it here first, guys. Next week will be the movie Barry Lyndon by again Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah, we're doing a Kubrick month.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, it is getting to that hour, and you said that you could only do an hour, or you only wanted to do an hour because you've had such a long week or of work. So I will honor that, and we'll end the show here.
Sorry, guys, I'm just out of energy. But next week will be better because I'm not working, so we'll be able to go a little bit longer and have some more fun.
Indeed. Okay. Any closing thoughts for you, Robert? That you want to leave the people?
We'll be on the lookout for new episodes of the main show. Those will be coming out soon. We're going to actually start filming sometime this week. So we got a couple of guests already lined up. Andy's going to go on an epic rant on one of them, so that's going to be great. And
no, you keep teasing them, And what if I'm over it because I've unloaded my my rant wad, as it were. I have already gone. I have gone on a few the biggest one was when we were filming, and then the second biggest one was when the last week's episode where I kind of blew up a little bit, and then again when we tested the equipment, I went on a little bit of a rant at your parents' place. So yeah, so stop building it up because what if I get there, I'm just I'm all ranted out.
Well, we know that's not true, but hey.
I know it's not true, but I gotta. We have to leave some kind of suspense.
There's plenty. There's gonna be plenty of suspense. No worries.
Well, I don't want to I just don't want to build it up. Say, oh, yeah, Andy's gonna freak out, but then I go, yeah, I didn't like this. I didn't like this show.
It's all right. He's gonna freak out, guys. Don't worry. We'll egg him on.
They're just gonna light the fuse and just walk away. And
that's how we roll.
All right, well, there you have it, folks. That was tonight's Nocturnal Transmissions. Don't forget to join us every Tuesday at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget to like this. Give us a comment. I shouldn't just say, thumbs up this thing. You should, thumbs down, if you hated it. I don't care. Just don't do nothing with it. An interaction is still an interaction.
That's right.
Don't forget.
When you're not making noise, that you had something to worry about.
When you're not making noise, that's when we're concerned. Don't forget to check out the library of other videos. Don't forget, there's still the main show. There's, the library of, Nocturnal Transmissions episodes. Also, Robert's show, Up by Up Down, which we are working on, revamping. Don't know exactly when we'll relaunch that, but we'll let you know. Don't forget to follow us on our various social media platforms. Twitter at PodcastCOJ, and on Instagram, Circle of Jerks Podcast. And with that, we say thank you, and we'll see you next week.
Night, guys.